Literally no offense to anything. They're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that in backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
They're remaking the movie. They just got rid of the dwarfs. Okay,
but what do they call them?
Why would they get rid of the dwarves, though?
Magical creatures.
But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures.
This would have been a lot better if they, had a strong male along with her, a prince, if it wasn't about socialism, if they didn't remove the dwarves, if they had real dwarves.
Did one interview ruin an entire movie? When Peter Dinklage spoke out about Disney's upcoming Snow White remake, the studio went into panic mode. But what came next wasn't just a creative shift, it was a full-on meltdown.
You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it, the disability, like we're a disability group, you just erased that whole image.
The lead actress, Rachelzegler, suddenly found herself at the center of a swirling controversy, and some say she quietly blames Dinklage for everything that went wrong. Was he speaking truth to power? Or did his words derail a billion-dollar production? Let's break down one of the most chaotic Hollywood collapses in recent memory.
Argument should have been from Peter Dinklage. There's power of being on TV, there's power of television, and to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there.
It started with a comment. During a podcast appearance, Peter Dinklage criticized Disney's decision to remake Snow White while still including the 7 dwarfs, calling it, quote, fucking backwards. And just like that, the narrative changed. Within days, headlines exploded. Disney responded vaguely, but behind the scenes, the gears were already turning. Rewrites, recastings, and rushed CGI replacements were suddenly in play. But not everyone was thrilled about the change, especially not Rachelzegler.
You can see families were more than willing to go to the box office to support something like the Minecraft movie, while Rachelzegler's Snow White continues to plunge.
Rachelzegler, cast as Snow White, had envisioned a role steeped in both tradition and nuance. Early on, she embraced a script that balanced modern inclusivity with a respectful nod to the original fairy tale's charm. But when Dinklage's commentary burst onto the scene, everything changed. Suddenly, Zegler wasn't just promoting a classic story reimagined. She was thrust into the public's unwelcome spotlight. Insiders later revealed that the energy on set shifted dramatically. Conversations that once focused on character development morphed into frantic discussions on how to handle the dwarf characters and integrate progressive changes without alienating longtime fans.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it. You didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White.
Right.
You should shut up and do the job.
Zegler, caught in this whirlwind of conflicting visions, had to navigate a production that felt as if its foundation was being re-scrutinized every day. The creative team, already under pressure to modernize, now had to contend with the added burden of appeasing an audience that was split between honoring legacy and demanding fresh narratives. The tension was palpable, and every on-camera moment was steeped in a silent question. How do you embody Snow White when the story itself is being rewritten in real time? With the controversy gaining steam, the internet exploded into a frenzy of opinions. Fans scoured every past interview and social media post, trying to decipher hidden meanings in Zegler's words. Was a playful comment a subtle jab at traditionalists, or did it hint at deeper frustrations with the film's direction?
And of course, this weekend, Minecraft came out, which has absolutely dominated the box office, done significantly better than analysts even projected. And now we're finding out that Snow White has officially crossed $160 million.
Online communities evolved into battlegrounds for debate with memes, reaction videos, and heated forum posts dissecting every frame. Critics piled on, accusing Zegler of being both ungrateful and complicit in a project that was becoming far more complicated than it needed to be. Some argued that her earlier, lighthearted remarks had now been taken out of context, fueling a narrative that painted her as the unintended villain of a story spiraling out of control. Others defended her, insisting that her role had been unfairly maligned simply because she represented a modern reinterpretation of a timeless classic. This digital maelstrom didn't just affect public perception, it seeped into every casting meeting and creative decision, leaving no one untouched by its relentless energy. Deep behind the polished facades of the production, rumor mills were churning out whispers of dissent and discord. Sources close to the set detailed an atmosphere where frustration and confusion reigned. According to these insiders, Zegler was privately inundated by the pressure to justify creative choices she never agreed to. She was reportedly caught in a tug-of-war between staunch traditionalists on one side and progressive reformers on the other, each demanding a very different vision for Snow White. One recurring rumor suggested that during off-camera moments, Zegler lamented that Dinklage's scathing commentary had inadvertently become the catalyst for a series of hasty, last-minute changes. These adjustments, made in a frenzied bid to appear woke, left the script feeling fragmented and incoherent. The private conversations, full of raw emotion and palpable disappointment, painted a picture of an actress forced to shoulder blame for a production that was losing its way. Whether these claims were exaggerated or entirely true, they underscored a central point. In a production marred by too many conflicting voices, no single narrative could prevail without significant fallout. Disney's response to the growing storm was as swift as it was murky. Behind the glossy press releases and carefully curated social media posts lay a team in disarray. Test screenings yielded mixed, often muted reactions, prompting an urgent scramble to re-edit scenes and rework dialogue. Rumors of reshoots, budget reallocations, and even internal divisions among key decision-makers began to circulate. The studio's once resolute confidence wavered as the public's digital clamor grew louder. Was the production still driven by a unified vision, or had it become a collection of disjointed ideas patched together under mounting pressure? Discontent was evident. Marketing teams struggled to maintain a consistent narrative, and trust in the film's direction eroded with every new controversy. When the final cut hit theaters, the result was a film that many described as a shadow of its original promise, an amalgamation of half-baked ideas and rushed concessions that ultimately cost Disney not just millions in box office revenue, but also a piece of its storied legacy. Dinklage's silence speaks volumes. Expanded examination. Amid the chaos, Peter Dinklage's decision to step back was both strategic and enigmatic. Following his infamous podcast remark, he rarely re-entered the fray. His silence became in itself a topic of intense scrutiny. For some fans and commentators, Dinklage's muted response was a silent protest, a refusal to be drawn into the endless blame game. To others, his reticence was interpreted as a calculated move to avoid further inflaming an already volatile situation. Every subsequent media appearance by Dinklage was parsed for hidden clues. A raised eyebrow here, a slightly deflected answer there. His measured responses added layers of intrigue, fueling speculation about whether his initial statement was meant as a rallying cry for change or merely an offhand remark destined to spark a wildfire of online debate. Meanwhile, the focus on his silence became a mirror reflecting the larger issue. In a world where every word is amplified by social media, sometimes saying nothing can speak louder than any carefully crafted comment. This ambiguity only deepened the mystery, leaving audiences to wonder if Dinklage had truly intended to spark a revolution or inadvertently ignited a debacle that no one could control. No major disaster is ever the result of a single person's actions. The Snow White remake suffered from an accumulation of missteps, rushed decisions, conflicting creative visions, and an overzealous drive to modernize a classic without fully understanding its soul. While Dinklage's comment provided a convenient flashpoint, it quickly became evident that the real issue lay in the process itself, one where accountability was diffused among many. Amid this accountability scramble, Dinklage was remembered as the critic, Disney as the overreaching corporate giant, and Zegler as the reluctant scapegoat shouldering the fallout of a fractured production. In the end, the narrative that took hold was simple yet damning. Blame one actor, and the blame automatically spills over onto the entire project. Here's the crux of the matter. Did Disney learn from this fiasco? Their approach to remaking timeless classics has always been a balancing act between staying true to beloved narratives and embracing modern values. Yet this time, the endeavor became a cautionary tale in compromised vision. Instead of a carefully orchestrated update, the production was a patchwork of last-minute decisions, each intended to win favor with a fractured audience. The result was a project that not only strayed from its original artistic intent, but also left viewers feeling confused and unfulfilled. In the relentless quest for progress, sometimes the genuine essence of a story is sacrificed, and the backlash that follows serves as a stark reminder that fan passion passion, nostalgia, and creative integrity are not so easily replaced. The Snow White remake is more than a box office failure. It's a modern parable of creative disarray. Rachel Zegler has since moved on to new projects, determined to redefine her career beyond the shadows of a troubled production. Peter Dinklage, meanwhile, continues to be revered for his candid commentary on Hollywood's practices. Disney, as ever, is already plotting its next venture, a testament to the studio's resilience despite this debacle. In retrospect, the film's downfall wasn't due to one isolated comment, but rather a complex collision of art, ambition, and external pressures. The controversy remains a reminder that in today's hyper-connected world, every remark, every change, and every public reaction can alter a story's fate in ways no one ever anticipated.